Hey, it's me, the entertainment freak. I don't even know how many movies I saw this year. Do you know how many movies I saw this year?
I know I saw less than 50, so that's something.
I think I saw 35?
You might have seen around the same as me, if not less. I'd say 40 at the max for you.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm about to talk about 20 of them. 10 that I liked, 10 that I really didn't like at all. As usual, as I've already stated, I haven't seen everything this year. Hell, there are some things that I wanted to see that I just was not able to see this year. The Irishman's a good example. Marriage Story, Fighting with My Family. Knives Out.
Oh yeah, we also didn't see Brightburn.
There was also an anime film from Studio Trigger I wanted to see that I didn't get to see. Weathering with You. Something tells me Weathering with You is going to be an honorable mention next year. Anyway, let's start out with the 10 best. Here are my 10 favorite movies this year. And again, this is my opinion, so shut the fuck up. So, before we get to the list, here are a few honorable mentions. Specifically, Avengers Endgame. It's okay. Detective Pikachu was fine. Spider-Man Homecoming. Fuck, did I say Spider-Man Homecoming?
Yes.
Spider-Man Far From Home was fun. Some movies that I actually really, really liked that I couldn't put on the list. Shazam and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark were also really fun. Anyway, here's my top 10.
Number 10.
Starting off with number 10, we have Alita Battle Angel. This is an adaptation of a manga that I've only kind of read. I knew about the manga going into this, and I did really want to see it because I thought the trailers actually looked pretty good, outside of the eyes, which they actually fixed in the movie, so I was cool with that. But I thought this movie was pretty actually thrilling. I had a lot of fun with it, and it looks like it could be a pretty promising start to a new franchise.
Number 9.
Here at number 9, we have It Chapter 2, the second half of the It story, and it's honestly better than the book in this part. Yeah, I know not too many people like this one. I actually was pretty big fan because I actually really liked the changes they made. I thought some of the ideas were really good. I really liked the character development. The only thing that really kind of took me out was there was a few bits of humor I didn't like. And the ending, while better than the book, was still lackluster. Other than that, I actually thought this was a very fun horror movie in a year that actually had a lot of horror films that were actually pretty fun.
Number 8.
Here at number 8, we have a movie that I wasn't anticipating at all. In fact, I didn't think it would be any good. This series ended so well for me back in, 2009, 2010?
For what?
Toy Story 3?
Toy Story 3 was 2010, yes. Pretty sure.
I felt this series ended so well in 2010, so going into Toy Story 4, I didn't think they'd be able to top it. And they didn't, but they managed to convince me that there was still more story to tell. I didn't get as emotional as Brendan did when he saw it, but I still almost teared up at the end.
You monster!
Anyway, it's a very enjoyable family film, and I think it's possibly my favorite of Pixar in the last couple of years.
Number 7.
At number 7, we have the stupidly controversial Joker. I mean, really, why was there such a controversy over this? There was no reason for it. Was it because of the Dark Knight Rises thing? Because the shooter only did that because he knew people would be there. Anyway, the movie itself, I thought was very dark, disturbing, what I thought a Joker movie should be. I thought it was a very good story about a guy who was down on his luck, driven to the edge of sanity, with an absolutely A+ performance from Joaquin Phoenix. Seriously, check this movie out, even if it is a little too similar to stuff like Taxi Driver and King of Comedy.
Number 6.
At number 6, we got Uncut Gems. Man, what a surprise. I didn't think Adam Sandler had anything in him anymore. Every single movie he's made for the past, 10, maybe 15 years has been absolute shit. And he didn't make this one. This was made by the Safdie brothers. But he gives an absolutely fantastic performance in an anxiety-filled film. And it's not just Adam Sandler who brought his A game. Literally everybody in this film did. Even the basketball star, whose name escapes me because I don't watch basketball. Definitely check this one out when you can. Even if you're not too into this, you'll probably really enjoy it.
Number 5.
At number 5, we have The Lighthouse. Another absolutely fantastic performance. This time from both actors. The only two actors really in the movie. Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe. This film, just in general, has this atmosphere that you just can't escape. It feels so gritty and fantastic. It also left me with so many different theories and ideas of what could have been in The Lighthouse at the end of the day. This is a fantastic movie and one of the absolute best horror films, not only of the year, but of probably the decade.
Number 4.
Here at number 4, we got Dr. Sleep, a fantastic adaptation of the Stephen King book and a great sequel to Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. And outside of the Ewan McGregor's fantastic performance, the story being really good, it being a really good adaptation, honestly, that's the thing that I'm having the hardest time processing is how good this is. We have a movie here that has to be a few different things at once. It has to be a sequel to the Stanley Kubrick film The Shining, an adaptation to the book Dr. Sleep, which are two very different things, and it has to appease not only fans of The Shining, fans of the book Dr. Sleep, but fans of the book The Shining and Stephen King himself. That couldn't have been an easy task to do, but they did it so well. Honestly, I can't remember No, I remember exactly. Mike Flanagan. He's done a couple other Stephen King and horror things. I can't wait to see what he has next up his sleeve.
Number 3.
Okay, here we are at the top 3 films of the year. These 3 films have not changed since May. And the top 2 especially, I was tweaking their orders a bit. But especially when I saw number 3 in March, I knew this was going to be one of the best films of the year for me. And that is Us. This film made me say that I was going to see every single film Jordan Peele makes. This is a fantastic horror movie. It has a lot of stuff to say about society as a whole. The atmosphere and the performances are so fantastic. Everything about this film I just loved. However, because of personal reasons, it couldn't be number 1. In fact, I knew going into the year what the top 2 movies were probably going to be. So let's get to them.
Number 2.
You knew this was going to be in one of the top 2 spots. Especially if you listen to the podcast where I just don't shut up about it.
No, you don't.
Shut up, invisible voice. Godzilla, King of the Monsters, was my most hyped movie ever. I mean, how could it not? This movie was essentially Christmas for me. I grew up with this franchise, so seeing Godzilla alongside King Ghidorah, Mothra, and Rodan in an American film done to this scale was exciting for me. Was it a perfect movie? No, but I had so much fun with this film. The only thing that could have topped it was an emotional experience, which brings me to
Number 1.
You know, I wasn't able to talk about part 1 last year because it was technically a 2017 film. And it got a limited release in 2017. I wasn't able to see it until mid last year, and therefore it made it ineligible for last year's list. But the first one would have probably been number 1 on that list too. But this one came out everywhere this year, so I'm able to talk about this one without any kind of special rules or whatnot, and I'm really happy to because The Heavens Feel Red of Fatestay Night is possibly one of my favorite, if not my favorite, written narrative ever made, and this film in particular, while it doesn't perfectly capture it, it captures it so well. I was so impressed with the choices made in this film. Not all of them. They don't give Ilya as much time as she needs. But everything else about this trilogy, and this movie especially, is so well done. And I loved almost every minute of it. The reason this is above Godzilla, despite my overwhelming joy for that one is that one did fill me with so much joy. But this one just piqued every other emotion for me. Whether that be sadness, anger, love, shock, anything. I loved it so much that I ended up buying the Blu-rays for both of these films, which, the Blu-rays, while they're not the most expensive things in the world, they're not cheap. Especially from Aniplex, who I don't buy Blu-rays from because of how expensive they are. But I thought it would be best for me to show my support to these films. These films are not for everyone. This is a terrible place to start Fate in general. The Heavens Feel Right at all. You should start with, if you can't read the visual novel, don't start with the 2006 show. That, unless you really want to, but that's not a very good starting place. I'd start with Fate Zero. But personally, I couldn't put this film anywhere but number 1. So yeah.